Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about making that special trip to the gynecologist, so let's just get into it. I just visited the gynecologist a couple months ago, I believe. You're supposed to go every year. It's supposed to start when you're like 13 to 15, or right around that time that you are, starting puberty, starting your period, because they will literally have all the answers for you. I always did annual checkups in school because I was in sports and you have to go for school to get your vaccinations and whatever. But the gynecologist is different. They basically just check if everything related to your sexual well-being is good and functioning properly. I didn't start going to a gynecologist until I think I was 21, and that is the age they recommend you go to get your first pelvic exam and pap smear, everything like that. Otherwise, you could start going when you start having your period. So at that first appointment, I brought my mom for moral support, and I also had some questions that I wanted to ask the gynecologist. And one of those questions off that list was, why is my period so heavy and so painful every single month? And I can't recall if we ever asked my physician growing up about that, about my period being so heavy and it hurting so much, almost to the point where I would have to miss school, miss work for it. If you want that video, go click on the periods video from a long time ago. But that was basically my main concern. And so I wanted to talk to her about the methods that I could use to either shorten the period or make it a lot less painful and a lot less bloody because it was really, really bad and I just had enough of it. I had been living with that kind of pain for almost 10 years. My other question for the doctor was, should I be on birth control? Not only just for preventing pregnancy, but also for the whole period thing, because they can lighten them, they can shorten the length of the period, or they can completely get rid of them. So I wanted to go through the options with her and see what was the best thing for me and what would actually help my body and work with it best. And that's what they're there for. She definitely answered all of those. So questions that gynecologists can also answer are things like, why is there blood in my urine? Why is it painful when I have sex? And do I have STDs and how to prevent them? A ton of other questions, obviously, as well, that you could ask them. But the main ones are anything to do with your sexual health, like reproduction system. Obviously, if you're pregnant or wanting to get pregnant or think you're pregnant, anything to do with that and a lot more. So when it came to my question, asking about my period and why it's so heavy and uncomfortable, she did give me a couple options to lighten that effect. And the option that I went with was birth control. I don't remember off the top of my head what the other options were, but I went with taking birth control for it. So once we decided birth control was the right option, I remember talking to her about which birth control option would be the best one for me. I had went into the appointment knowing about different kinds of birth control, and I wanted to ask her, is there any other option other than the pill? Because my big thing about taking the pill was that I was going to gain weight. I had always heard that myth that going on the pill causes weight gain, and later in life I had realized that that is not true. And I don't even know if my gynecologist had told me if that was true or not at the time. I don't remember. But I told her that, that's my concern. I don't want my body to change a lot. I don't want to have all these side effects of what the pill does and what I had heard the pill does. And taking it every day just seemed like something that was not for me. So I think the options that we went over was the pill, IUDs, the little thing that gets injected into your arm, and then also the shot you can get as well for birth control. We went over all of those options and came down to the pill would be the best option for me. I forget her reasoning back then, but basically she was telling me that the shot you get is more for teenagers who don't want to get pregnant and won't take a pill every single day. I don't know what the reasoning was for. So that's what we chose, was me going on pill, even though I told her I didn't want to, but she kind of talked me through it and we both determined that that would be the best fit. And she said, if this doesn't work out, let me know. We can always change it up. We can try something else. But I did go with the pill for a while. I think I was on it for a year. And I did notice significant changes in my period. It was a lot lighter and it was shorter. So it was the normal 5-day period. And It was so much lighter. I didn't have to use so many tampons or the super tampons throughout the whole length of the period. I only had to use them for the first couple days, and it's still like this. They still hurt pretty bad, and back then during that year I was on birth control, the cramps and all the pain and bloating that went with it did kind of subside a little bit, and they were a lot less strong. However, they were still strong enough for me to obviously feel them and feel pain and need to take medication and take it a little slower that first day. But it was far better than what I had been experiencing before, which was me literally crawled up in a ball on my bed, not able to go to work, not able to go to school because the pain was so bad. So even after that 1 year of being on birth control, I still feel my period being more regular and a lot less painful than it used to be. So the actual process of going to the gynecologist scared me a lot when I first was going. And that was because I didn't know what to 100% expect. I didn't know how painful it was going to be. I mean, I have a pretty high threshold for pain, I've been told. So I didn't think it was going to hurt a lot. But again, it's just this new experience where you have no idea what's going to go on. And my mom, I think, kind of walked me through it and told me what was going to happen. But of course, you're never prepared for a doctor with gloved hands to go into your vagina and open it with this metal spreading device. Like, nothing can prepare you for that. For the pelvic exam, it's just like any other doctor's appointment where you put on the little nightgown thing and you sit on the table. They ask you questions, mainly questions pertaining to sexual health, and then they get into the exam. And then they get out brand new little tools out of their little plastic baggies and set them all on a tray in front of you so you can see all the instruments and devices that are about to be used on you. Looks a little bit like you're about to get tortured, which is frightening. So then she goes in there with the spreading device, and they should give you a countdown, or at least let you know, like, hey, you're about to feel some pressure here. Let me know if anything hurts, anything like that. Of course, everybody's body is different, so I didn't really feel much pain with it at all. There was slight pressure from the device itself, but there was nothing painful in my pelvic area at all. And then basically once they're in there, they're just checking for anything that's abnormal. If you are getting a pap smear, which that's recommended, I think every like 2 years, then they would insert this almost like bristly kind of brush thing into your cervix and kind of take a swab, and that's again to check for cervical cancer. And that, I'd say, is the most painful part, because it's literally this tiny little brush going in there where things aren't supposed to be inserted into and taking a swab. It's very, very quick. It only lasts a couple seconds, but it is slightly painful. And then once they're done, they take all those instruments out. And then part of the exam too is talking to you about any questions you might have, any concerns you might have in regards to your sexual health and well-being. So even if you're nervous to tell them something like that, or ask them a question like, hey, I think I might have an STD, or, you know, could I actually be tested on this as well? They're there to help you, so don't feel self-conscious or anything like that. They've seen it all, they've heard it all. It is their job to help you out, so don't feel afraid and don't feel uncomfortable to ask them those questions when it's going towards your safety and your well-being. So gynecologists are there through every step of your life. Like I said, it starts when you're like 13, 15, first getting your period. You want to start maybe talking about birth control methods, and then it goes all the way into, you know, hey, I have multiple partners now, let's talk about birth control even more, and let's talk about STDs. And then they're there with you as well when it's time to start talking about getting pregnant or time to not get pregnant. They're going to be a big part of your life. And again, you should go every single year, pap smear every 2 years. And then when it comes to like a breast exam, I believe they require that, or at least recommend it, after the age of 40. However, if you are ever concerned about any lumps or bumps or anything that you're feeling before that, again, your gynecologist can answer those questions for you. So if you're ever, you know, in doubt of what you're feeling, go ask a doctor, go ask your gynecologist, and see if it's actually something you should be concerned about. So if you're wanting to learn about all the safe sex practices, they can answer that too. They can go over birth control with you, other methods. If it comes to anything abnormal at all that's causing you pain or causing you to question what's happening with your body, that's what they're there for. So go see them. Do not be afraid to go ask them questions, to even just give them a call and see if it's something of concern that you need to come in for. With my eyebrows, I finally did pluck them, but I'm noticing in this light with makeup on them that there are more little hairs out there that I need to grab. but I feel like I've been doing my eyebrows differently like every single week. So right now I'm just using this flat brush to just go in, kind of do my lines, and then fill the rest of it in. This is how I used to do my eyebrows a couple of years ago. So it's kind of weird that like you come back around to what you used to do. You go to different methods and then you come back and you're like, hey, I'm gonna try that out again. Let's see if that still works. And it does. And at my last checkup too, I definitely had a pelvic exam. I had a pap smear. I got the results from, I think, the pelvic exam right away, like in a couple of days. And then the pap smear took maybe like a month or a couple of weeks to come in. And those were mailed to me. I think they also called me as well. So it's a simple process. You know, I'm not actually in the office that long. It maybe takes like, depending on your clinic and like wait times and anything like that. I maybe was in there for like 40 minutes. So not terrible at all. And again, the actual like pelvic exam and all that takes the least amount of time compared to your wait time, answering those questions, and even them prepping, you know, the tools to use for that exam. So it's super easy. And another thing that goes with seeing a doctor or gynecologist is picking which one is best for you. So for me personally, I only choose women to go to. It's just a personal choice. I feel like I can not necessarily trust them more, but I feel like they get what I'm talking about when I'm saying I'm feeling this kind of pain, because they may have felt it before. They also have a vagina and know what this feels like and what those emotions are like going through those different stages of being a woman. So that's just a personal choice. You don't necessarily have to go that same route as well. And there's also tons of different ways you can find a gynecologist or doctor that fits you. They usually all have profiles on, you know, a doctor search. You can go through your local provider and usually find a physician that way, narrow it down to this sort of medicine field that they went into. So gynecologist, obviously you're going to pick that one, and OBGYN, and then go from there. So basically just choose somebody who you know will have the same kind of ideas and opinions about things even. That'll make the appointment a lot easier when they can kind of connect with you that way, because there are different doctors obviously that are bringing their personalities into the appointment, and so it might even take a couple times to decide if that's the right gynecologist for you. So make an appointment, kind of see what they're like, and then if it's not really for you, cross them out onto the next one. So when it comes down to it, going to the gynecologist can be scary if it's your first time, and it can be scary and a little nerve-wracking if you have something big that you want to talk about. Anything that's causing you any pain or anxiety to go into the doctor at all, just know that that is normal, and that is what they're there for. They're there to help you out and to treat those things that are happening and to make you feel more comfortable and make you feel at ease when coming in to talk to them. So keep going to the gynecologist if you've been going. If you haven't, get in there. I know I haven't for the past 3 years or so, so it's very important for me to go back in and get everything checked out. And if it's your first time going, congratulations. You're going to be able to experience all the joys of what it's like to be a woman now. So thanks for watching today, beauties. I'll see you in the next one when we talk about another fun sex topic. Bow.